Welcome back to Trial and Error, y'all. You know, it's live television and sometimes stuff pops up. Um, on today's episode, Fearless and I are going to talk about the side hustle myth. Um, we're going to get to that. I'm going to roll the intro and then we'll get into this thing. So, looks like we're back. You know, we handle business and that's the reality of situation, and sometimes business jumps in and we got some stuff to take care of. So we're live and that's what matters here, and a lot of times the most important thing is just showing up, and we're showing up today. So
Yeah, that part.
um on today's episode we're going to jump directly into the side hustle myth, or not the side hustle myth. I mistake, I'm kind of off kilter today. The passive income myth. I'm setting my audience here real quick so I can make sure that everybody is able to comment on our stuff, on my stuff. It's live television, and sometimes yeah, stuff. Yeah, Fearless is doing it on his end too. All right, so first things first. We already did the episode about side hustles, right? I think we did a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and one of the things that always runs concurrent when we have conversations about side hustles is there's the entire concept of the entire passive income thing. And so Fearless and I were kind of talking about it off screen, and it's something that we wanted to get into and deconstruct a little bit. Passive income isn't a complete myth, but there are elements around it that are bullshit. And more times than not, it's somebody selling you into something. So we're going to talk about what's real, what's not about the concept of passive income. And I can tell you from experience, I'm a marketing coach. I own a couple of businesses. I've experienced making money while I'm sleeping, and it's a very liberating feeling. I also work my ass off to get that feeling happening. So it wasn't passive. I actually had to go out and actively get it and build the system so that I can get it while I'm sleeping. So that's the biggest piece of it. And so that's what we're going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's see. The goal is the goal of this live stream is to just get you in the right headspace and thinking about how passive income actually really works, and put you on awareness, because a lot of times the ones we see on YouTube, I just saw one yesterday, matter of fact, Fearless, it was crazy. It was a person, she and I forgot what her name is, but she has a YouTube channel where she resells stuff. Like, she goes out to thrift stores and discount stores, buys stuff, and then resells it on Amazon or eBay or whatnot. And so she said, I got this thing and I wanted to respond to it. And basically it was this whole thing where people are popping on saying, oh, all you got to do is write a letter with the with the envelope, put a little card into the thing and send it off. You get paid $5 per letter that you send off. And so she went into the whole deconstruction of it and how it actually worked. And it was amazing how many people were actually like hyping this thing up, talking about, yeah, all you got to do is just hop on here and it changed my life. All you got to do is get envelopes and little cards and put them in an envelope and send them off, and they pay you $5. And it's kind of like a chain letter thing going on, and people are seeing that as this pathway to their financial freedom or their salvation. And um it, I think in this time that we're kind of dealing with a lot of economic uncertainty, everybody's kind of looking for that other thing for their job. I think people are more likely to kind of look for these kind of things. Have you ever heard of anything like that, Fearless?
Yeah, yeah. People used to when I was younger, people used to send shit like that to me all the time, and it's funny because once I started reading, well, I was always a reader, but once I really started getting into business a little bit more,
Hmm.
I was in network marketing for a number of years, and I think that for a lot of us, that's where we lose, when we get our cherry bust. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
No point intended.
Hmm.
Um, But that's where we learn a lot of that shit, right? And the thing is that I needed to understand what was the difference between a pyramid scheme and a network marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
And the line is very thin. But what it is that a the definition is that a pyramid scheme, for the most part, there's no product or service that's rendered.
Right.
That is the only difference between a pyramid scheme and a network marketing company. Because most network marketing companies have some type of product or service that they sell, right?
Right.
I'm a part of Legal Shield. I don't sell Legal Shield, but I use Legal Shield. There's enough people that I know that sell it, do a great job. There's people that sell all kinds of different stuff. Now, me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I love Legal Shield because I can ask any questions about, I can ask a lawyer any question for the most part. I think it's like 8 to 4 uh, about anything for the most part.
Right.
They'll answer your question. They'll give you legal status, legal advice, all kinds of stuff, right? And I've used them enough that I've gotten my money's worth for it. $20 a month, right? So, but that is a service
Right.
you consistently keep paying for that I heard about it from word of mouth by somebody else who was selling it. Right?
Right.
Now, somebody like that is another way for passive income where you talk about something that works so well that somebody else loves it and then they go out and tell somebody else. Now that's usually a independent distributor. We'll talk about it. Like I said, I don't sell Legal Shield. I just talk about it. Now, could I make a commission off of it? Of course I could. But
Right.
that's not my thing. I don't want
Right.
to tell you, hey, let me show you how to sign up and how to teach other people. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah, right? But I know other people that's their field, that's their business, that's what they're into. Um, but I wanted to show you. I also wanted to show you real fast. Now, for the people um that rock with me on my teachings every night, um, 100 days for the most part with Acts Fearless, they get live Q&A coaching. Matter of fact, here let me share my
Yeah, I'm not being a good host because we're supposed to introduce ourselves
no,
regardless of what our audience is.
it's all good, my guy. It's all good. Hold on one sec. I want to show people 1 second. So this is actually day 8 live Q&A, coaching, training, all that stuff. So the people that actually mess with me, they know what I'm about to talk about. So this right here, I wanted to show you guys. And I'm gonna put it as a slideshow. And the thing about this is being struck by lightning, becoming an astronaut. What are the chances or the statistics of being a billionaire? Becoming a US president, famous actor, winning the lottery. So to be struck by lightning, it's 1.1 million people get struck by lightning. To become an astronaut, 1 in like 6,000. To become a billionaire, 1.2, 1 in 2 million people. President, 1 in 30 million. Look at this right here.
Yeah.
1 in 1.5 to become a famous actor. And then to win the lottery, 1 out of 290,000, 90 million people. So the reason why I wanted to talk about that and at least show it was very simple. It's this thing where whether you understand it or not, we think that quick money is the best money, and that if everybody else is doing it, this is going to work.
Right.
Let me explain something to you. If 5 or more people are doing that, unless it is selling a type of narcotic, don't do it. I mean, I'm telling you, fast money is not always good money. And if there's a bunch of people doing it, for the most part, number one, it's illegal, or B, it's a scam,
Yep.
which is still illegal. Right?
Right.
I'm just telling you.
Well, and then there's also, like you kind of mentioned, there are kind of like template businesses where you buy
Yes.
the template and then you could set up the business. And what happens is you're essentially competing against yourself. You're competing against the skills that you already come in with. So if you don't have good salesmanship, good marketing, and a lot of other skills, and you're not bringing that into the template business, you're stepping in and you're competing at that bottom level, and you're a commodity because they can go to anybody else with the same template business and get the same outcomes. And so we see that a lot with people that just start up Shopify stores. We watched the tariffs absolutely eradicate an entire segment of drop shipping businesses where
what do
they
you
set
mean?
up.
Explain that.
So drop shipping businesses are basically where somebody orders something off of a website that you've set up and you don't ship it to them. What happens is the order goes to a factory that you've worked out some kind of contract with, and they pack it and ship it to that person. More times than not, the factories are offshores. So more times than not, most of the factories for drop shipping businesses are in China. And so, you know, the challenge with drop shipping businesses in the first place is people have to be prepared for super long turnaround times because that stuff has to get onto a container ship and get over to the United States before it can be delivered. And so there's so many layers and steps that this might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks before they actually get the product. That's one problem with it. But if you kind of prep your audience for that concept, it's going to be a while. The other side is the fulfillment happens and then they're not satisfied with it. You're still on the hook for it. Like you still have to pay them back their money, and there's not a direct clean way to do return since this thing was shipped from a factory in China, you know, and it didn't come from your personal warehouse. There's nowhere else for them to send it. That's two. But now the tariffs drop down, and what used to be really relatively inexpensive businesses where you didn't have to have a lot of merchandise on hand, you just leveraged what factories already had. Now you have to actually pay more tariffs on it. And so what is the tariff, like 100% now? So you're paying over double, like you're paying way, way, way more. And the percentage math gets weird for me. I apologize, y'all, but you're paying way, way more for this inexpensive business that you set up, and you have no means to create this stuff here domestically without paying even more of a premium. And so that is what a template business is. It's a business that where they send you the shell of a frame, and then you kind of build the business based on your own skills and or abilities. And those are also passive income traps that I've seen people get completely dog walked on. And we're not saying that it's a complete myth. There are passive income things that actually do work, but they require a lot of work. They require a lot of work to set up. They require work to maintain, or they require a ton of money, or they require both. And at some point, you cross, you know, the what is it, the ship of Theseus, where it's like, at some point, all the planks are, you know, all the pieces of this ship are going to get replaced with new planks. Some point, it stops being the original ship. it starts become. At what point do you cross that threshold where the income is no longer passive, but it's actually active because you're actually doing all this work to maintain the passive income? Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by like template businesses. Drop shipping is one of those that you see people doing a lot on YouTube, and there are people that made a lot of money drop shipping stuff, but they made it early on in the game.
Okay.
You know, they made it, you know, 2018, 2019, even 2015, 2016, so they were doing that.
So you mean pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, but then it kind of exploded COVID time because people were at home and they had free time to figure out ways to supplement their income. Right. And a lot of people dove into it head first. And the ones that were successful that got in the first place, they're like, okay, we got to find a path that eliminates the gap between people ordering this stuff and us getting it here. So some of them took the money and reinvested domestically and found and sourced where manufacturers that could do the same thing domestically at a premium. They might have changed products, or they ordered a whole lot of products and they do the fulfillment themselves, and they're not really drop shipping anymore. They are more of a shipping business. Like they actually do the fulfillment themselves. I know when I was selling shoes on Amazon, Amazon was my fulfiller. So it's kind of a drop shipping arrangement, except it wasn't though, because I'd have to source the inventory and send it to Amazon for them to store in their warehouse. And when then somebody ordered it off my site on Amazon, then Amazon would take a cut and I would take a cut.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Phil, thanks for tuning in. Without the correct connections, is a lost cause. You have to have big connections to drop ship. All the spots seem to be taken. That is true. It's a volume game. You have to have the cash flow to be able to take massive hits. And if you don't have the connections, you don't have the person at the port to make sure your stuff gets through. And you don't have the connections to make sure that all the stuff at the, when you come into the port, all the tariff stuff's taken through, it can absolutely be an absolute killer for you. And you're still on the hook for the money. Like people still pay you. You're really pulling the ship of Theseus. Yeah, Phil, we are. Hey, this is a podcast. I mean, this is a live stream where you got two book nerds on here too. And so we're going to throw everything we got at you.
Yeah, as you can see behind me, this is not a green screen. This is all of those lights behind me. Those are all fiction books. Religions up here, philosophies up here. I got what is this? Science, anything, lexicon, dictionaries and stuff on the other side. I'm gonna show you over here, and then back in the corner, I have another one that that one is anything to dealing with race, what is it? Race, government, prison, anything like that is in the back. Then business is back there. Then in my basement. We're not even going to discuss that. Phil, I have a whole lot. I think that it's like, I think you have to have 1,100 books or something like that to be considered a library. I've had that for years.
Yeah.
So I've had my own library for years. So yeah. No, you're not dealing with you're not dealing with some novice over here.
And so a lot of times, people jump into these passive income hustles, and I'm actually going to pull up common ones that I see, because dropshipping is the one that pops out most in my head, but there's a lot of other ones that I've seen propagated on YouTube. And a lot of times people hop in. Oh, I got one that's really simple. YouTube, for a while, people could make money doing like ASMR videos on YouTube or faceless YouTube videos. And it will just be like thunderstorm sounds playing. And there's a big loop of thunderstorm sounds playing. And they would get a lot of people to subscribe to it because people want to listen to the ambient noise in the background.
That's why they sleep, yeah.
And then they would, sell ads and stuff into it, and they would get ad revenue off of it. Well, YouTube's closed that door. They've made it a lot harder for those kind of channels to get monetized.
Why?
Because it was too
so simple.
It was too simple when it was low quality content. Because one thing YouTube wants to prioritize is high quality content. Because in their mind, high quality content keeps people on the site. Now,
describe that.
So my definition of high quality content and YouTube's definition is going to be different. YouTube's definition of high quality content is something that keeps eyeballs on the site. The longer time you're scrolling, the more videos that you watch, the more ads they can sell to people, ideally. Okay. And so they're looking for things that trap people, get them into watching, for 10 or 11 minutes, and, where they can stick ads in and they can stumble across an ad, right? My definition of high quality content is informative stuff that can teach you something. Their definition is stuff that traps your attention. So, but for them, you got so many of these ASMR sound channels and stuff that people just kind of pop on, click on it, scroll through. pop on, click on, and scroll through. And so they're constantly searching, so that that automatically kind of ranks as low quality content because people aren't staying on channel. They're going to other channels. They're clicking off and going to other things. And so for YouTube, that doesn't do a lot for them, because if you're just clicking, like if you don't have the premium subscription where you don't get served ads, if you're just clicking on a video, watching it for 5 seconds, and then going to the next one, they don't have enough time to put an ad in there for you to watch. And then that ends up lowering the amount of, the amount that they can charge corporations for ad revenue. And so they prioritize that stuff. And so that was a side hustle until YouTube said there's too many of these channels popping up and they're not really putting any quality in the content. And so we're going to make it a little bit harder to monetize those, which means our algorithm is not going to push these as far or push these as hard. And so that was one that people were getting into. One that I almost fell into was coloring books. Making adult coloring books. I'm not saying adult as in adult. I'm talking about coloring books for grown folks, like flowers and stuff like that. People buy those, right? And there was a way that, you can print them and make them and all this other stuff and ship them. And people were making a lot of money doing that. They would find some print on demand service and do that. But that can work. But since there's so many people that are doing the same thing, you have to go above beyond to differentiate yourself in the market so that you can actually sell enough of the books to make it worth your while. And that was another one where people are like, well, I don't have to do a heck of a whole lot. I could just come up with designs, put them in this coloring book for adults, and then sell the coloring book for adults. Well, if I found it online, 10,000 other people found it online, and there's 10,000 other people doing the same damn thing. And so that's kind of what Fearless was talking about, where there's so many people doing the same thing that there's not a lot of money to go around unless you are doing it bigger and better, which means a bigger time investment and a bigger money investment. So then it ceases to be passive. I'm way off my script though.
Just keep going, man.
So, but we talked about it, real estate, of course, people throw real estate out there, digital products, which is course creation and ebooks, dividend stocks, day trading, all that stuff. Those fall into the buckets of what people label passive income. And I will argue that those aren't necessarily passive. They're income, but they're not necessarily passive. That's what my take is. So, and I'm gonna pull up other examples of it. If you guys see or have questions about passive income, things that you've seen, drop them in the chat. We'll answer them live. We'll discuss them and kind of deconstruct whether they're actually passive. And I'll put my business brain behind it. Fearless will put his philosophy brain behind it, and we'll see what we come up with. But if you got ones that you want to vet out, drop them in the chat. Or if you got business ideas you want to vet out, drop them in the chat. And we'll see if you can make a passive income off of them. Because, you click on because we have the expertise, I guess. So let me jump back onto my outline here. So real estate rentals. Fearless, would you consider real estate rentals, like if you own a property and you rent it out, would you consider that passive income?
So again, I think that as my girl Jessica would say, everything is situational.
Okay.
So does that have the opportunity, the options for that? Yes. But like you said before, there's work in that. Even if you were to say like Dino Rental, right? The storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
Use those. You built them, you rent them out. All right. It's pretty simple stuff.
Right.
But you still have to buy the land or lease it. You have to buy the product or what are we buying? We're buying all the materials to build everything.
Right.
Or whatever. So again, will it eventually make you money? Yes. Statistics are showing that people were using storage unit at an exorbitant rate. And you can damn near charge whatever for little ass tiny little storage units. So for those, yes. But there's still upkeep. Sometimes shit happens, especially if you have the cool climate ones. Oh man, boy, you about to come out of pocket.
Yeah.
Especially if the roof was leaking and it got in and messed up somebody's shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling, and I know because I've seen it happen. So again, there's always gonna be that variable that pops into that statistical amalgamation, if you will. But is it possible? Very much so. Rituals within itself, yes, but there's still wear and tear. And if you have people, you're gonna have a problem
Well,
because people like problems.
right. And you still got to hire staff. You still got to supervise staff. You still have to make sure the payroll gets done. You still have to make sure that, you know, the insurance agreements are in place in case you do get a leak that destroys somebody's property. You have to make sure that, like, there's still oversight there's still management of the business that you still have to do.
Right.
And so for the storage units is one thing, but if you own houses or rent out apartments or own an apartment building and rent them out, you still have to put in the time to hire the staff, supervise the staff, and do all the other stuff that the higher level stuff that makes a bigger business function. Even if you're just renting out your house to somebody, you still have to make sure that everything's under good upkeep because there are laws regarding that. You have to make sure that you have handymen go in and fix things that are problems. You have to deal with tenant issues. So there's still stuff that goes on with that. So it's not truly passive because you still have to spend time doing it. And even if you're not doing it, you're spending money doing it to hire somebody else to do it. And then you still got to supervise them to make sure you're getting your investment back. So that's kind of the thing is with the real estate thing and renting houses and stuff. It's not straight up. Storage units is kind of in the same lane. You still have to hire people to work the front desk.
So I think that what people's biggest issue is thinking about that. I think that where people kind of get it misconstrued at is that I think that we think that whenever you're not trading your time for money, you're trading something else for money, then maybe we think that it's, you know what I'm saying, passive.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's where we get things confused at because then we associate passive with not doing shit.
Right.
Or doing bare minimum.
Right.
And you're not trading those 8 hours, those 10 hours, those 12 hours. No. So within that aspect, no. You're probably not going to be trading 8 or 9 hours because it's not about the hours.
Right.
It's about the intrinsic value that you're giving to something.
Right.
So your house might be the value, but you still have to prioritize keeping up the upkeep. Right. When you bought the house, now you have to maintain the house. Even if the house is bought and paid for, you still got to do maintenance work. Every year, the filter still has to be changed. Every so many years, you're going to have to get a new water heater. Every so many years, your fridge or something's going to break or whatever. And if you're renting these houses out, that's going to be your responsibility unless it's put in the lease, the rental agreement, that you're responsible for this, that you're responsible for that. And here's another thing. If you just so happen to stop paying OPPD, MUD, Black Hills, whatever, you know who has to pay that? The landlord. It reverts back to that person. You may have to walk around with that bill, but that person still has to cover that. That's how that works.
Right.
So it's not. So again, like I said, I think that we're thinking that it's about the time, hour-wise, that we're trading, not the value or the intrinsic value that we're offering.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think you're onto it. And I think, we talk about reframing. I think for a lot of people, you have to reframe the concept of passive income because they're thinking, well, I'm not trading time for money. Well, you're not trading time for money. You're trading resources. You're trading resources for money.
I like that.
And even then, that's not necessarily passive because you still have to have resources to provide. And I think people get so caught up in, they get jammed up in that aspect or that regard that they don't think about, well, I still have to invest these resources in order to make this thing pop off.
Right.
And if I don't invest the resources, then guess what? I'm not going to get the income piece of it. And I think people have it kind of on backwards. There's a human drive where people are really driven to make a lot of money with no effort. And I think
who isn't though?
Yeah.
I go, who is it?
Right. And it's
Who is it?
seductive. If you could say all you need is put 5 minutes of your time into this thing and you can make 6 figures a year. Well, yeah, I take that in a heartbeat if it was something that was real. But the problem is, it's like you're a fish in water, right? And a piece of food just drops in front of you. And you're like, wow, normally I have to go hunting for my piece of food. Now they're just giving it to me. Well, if you bite that piece of food that's just hanging in front of you, there's a hook in it. The trade-off is you have a hook in your mouth now and you're getting yanked out of the water. So a lot of times that free food that's just hanging in front of you, sometimes it is free. More times than not, there's a caveat that goes along with it. And a lot of times people who jump into the passive income hustle, they're not aware of the hook. They don't know what the hook is until they get yanked out of water and their bank accounts are jacked up, or they're in $10,000 into something that was supposed to make them $100,000. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's kind of what it is. I see it. The ones I've seen, the ones that are in my inbox, because I was an early stage crypto guy. I see a lot of that with crypto and Forex stuff. And yeah, I know crypto guys that make money. They have a lot of money to play with.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they are active on it. And it's a learned thing. It's a very learned thing. If you're an old school, like I was investing like in 2000, and I was actually in my old apartments before I had my kids. So we were like 2006, 2007, I was an investor, like had my investment accounts and stuff like that. So I've been in it for a long time. The one thing I learned, and this is before I even started with the crypto stuff, was I learned how to watch a stock position absolutely crater and fall through the bottom of the floor and not panic. Most people don't have that ability. And when you get into Forex and crypto, your tolerance for risk and loss has to be 100 times that. You have to be able to watch something go to zero or as close to zero statistically as possible and then rebound up. And most people don't have the temperament for it. So when they get into Forex and crypto and stuff like that, and they think that's going to be a passive income, it's not necessarily, because you got to be up at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when the market's open. And you're at your computer all day and you're actively making trades and actively enduring huge tear-inducing kind of losses. And you have to have that level of tolerance for risk. And a lot of people who get into it aren't fully aware of the amount of work it actually takes to be successful at it. That's why most people are not successful at it. There's a very narrow group of people that are successful at that kind of stuff. And it requires a lot of it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of resources. Like I said, you have to be willing to get up at 3 a.m. every single morning when the market's open and live at your computer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so people see it as a quick, fast solution, and it's not. It's not they think, and a lot of it, and the reason why we're addressing it is because you'll see, well, like the courses and stuff. I get them in my inbox all the time. Hey, you want to learn how to do Forex? You want to learn how to do crypto? Buy my course and I'll teach you everything you know. Well, the reason why they're successful a lot of times is because they sold you
that course.
They sell a lot of them courses. Now, if you're talking about showing them the portfolio exactly where they made all their money, can you do that? Can you show me your stock, your crypto or your Forex portfolio and show me how you made all this money? Because if you can show me how to do that, you should be a billionaire by now. If you could teach people how to win at this stuff.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. If you have a guy who's a multi millionaire, first and foremost, I'm gonna tell you like this. They only want to do it because they want exposure for whatever, for themselves for the most part. Not their
Right.
company, but for themselves. Like in general. You're not you're not gonna see Warren Buffett get on here and start teaching you how to do what he does. That's not gonna happen because if it were simple like that, and he could show you exactly what to do,
Mm-hmm.
that man would be euthanized. Y'all can think I'm joking if you want to. Listen to what I'm telling you. He would be euthanized. That is not a joke. These rich people, they don't want you knowing what they know because when you know what they know, you know what that does to the dollar? It destroys it. Once you start making the type of money that they make, and then they have to start increasing more of it,
Mm-hmm.
bro, that's a problem. You need a permanent underclass. You
Yep.
need it. So why am I going to help you to build yourself up financially? No, 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 no. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build you up in mind alone, not in action. Because here's the thing: Fast Magazine. I forgot when it was. I think it was in the early 2000s. They did this. Um, this study. Fast Company magazine did this study, and they found that only 10% of people actually follow through on anything that they say that they're going to do.
Right.
10%. Now, I want you to think about this. If I had a course and I said, I'm going to teach you how to become a millionaire in 5 easy steps, and 100 people showed up to this thing, 10 people, 10 are going to do exactly what I told them to do.
Exactly.
10. Now, if I sold this course for, let's say, $2,000, right? How much is that? 2,000 times, where we at? Because you know I love my calculator.
Mm-hmm.
2,000 times. So they made $200,000
Mm-hmm.
in that, and only 10 people actually followed through with what they did. Think about that. So that basically means 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, 20,000 of that $200,000 that they made, they got free money off of
Right.
because they know your ass ain't gonna do shit. That is a fucking fact. Fact. And here's the thing: I don't want people thinking that, man, that's just there. No, it's not. Okay, if you look into the military, matter of fact, look no further than Buds.
Mm-hmm.
Look no further than Buds training. Okay, the SEAL, go talk to them about that. They will tell you that there's less than 10% that go into these companies that actually make it.
Right.
Less than 10. So it doesn't matter what the field. It doesn't matter what the field. Most people, after a certain plateau, will just quit. I tell people about a story. California has has the hardest um to become a lawyer. What is that? To take
Bar.
the California State Bar exam.
Yep.
It is the hardest in America. The hardest one, right? The most, you know how they count it? They count about how many people fail. They have more failures taking that test than any other state. Let me give you this. Did you know that they can tell you with certainty based on how many times you failed that test? Think about this. How many times you failed that test? They can tell you whether or not you're going to take it again. And you want to know what the percentage is? around the same part,
Mhm.
less than 10%. After they failed so many times, they just stop.
Right.
You can name whatever the field is, they stop. Why do they stop? It's the same exact reason why all these people pay all this money for these get rich quick schemes, because you don't want to work for it. And if I know that your nature is to have these grandeurs of fucking delusion,
Mhm.
because that's exactly what they are. They're delusions of fucking grandeur.
Mhm.
They're wishes without even the faith to fucking launch it. If I know this, I don't have to worry about being right or wrong, because I know that 90% of you aren't going to do what I told you to do anyway.
And
Go ahead.
that's
Just saying.
and that's the gap. It's the execution gap. A lot of people fall down when it's time
Yes.
to actually execute. Because when I was an early investor, I read all of the stuff that was published about Warren Buffett and what, so because he didn't really publish anything of his own, but it was like his
No, he
his
never
own stuff.
does.
But you
He
can
does not.
but I did read a lot of stuff about him and Charlie Munger and kind of their philosophy. And yeah, on paper, it sounds really kind of a simple way to build wealth. You buy businesses that are well run, you keep the same management in place, and you optimize pieces to make it run even better. That's their entire MO.
Dude,
If we talk about how they built the entire Berkshire brand. Here's the thing. Most average people do not have the ability to buy well-run businesses. We don't have the money to buy well-run businesses out the gate. Where you can buy the business, it's well-run, you keep all the management in place. You don't have the resources, so that is a limiter. People think that you're going to get to Buffett's level just playing the stock market. His investment wasn't stocks, it was businesses. The stocks are another part of the portfolio. The businesses is where that they really built up all that money for Berkshire Hathaway. And a lot of times people that they want to take the shortcut. So a lot of it is that falling down with the execution piece. And so I tell business owners this all the time in my coaching side of things. People feel like they get these brilliant ideas for their business, right? And they're scared to start executing it because they're scared somebody's going to take it and steal it from them. Well, they could steal the concept of what you're doing. They can't steal your ability to execute it in the way that you're going to execute it.
Yep.
And people get so enamored with hoarding all these fantastic ideas that somebody's going to come copy it that they never get started on the thing and they never execute the thing. They can duplicate your business, but they can't duplicate your effort.
Nope.
They can't duplicate the unique skills that you bring to it, And so I do think people get trapped off in this. And a lot of it is people that have never really started their own business before, where they're like, I got this great idea. It's that Shark Tank kind of thinking. I have this magic $100 million idea. And if I ever get on Shark Tank, I'm going to do it. Okay, so are you going to get started on it? No, because somebody might steal it before I do it. And
Right.
you
And
never
for-
get started.
And right, and for them, they want to see the numbers.
Right.
They want to see what you already done, which is so funny because everything that you're talking about right now is the same shit that I talk about on our nightly coaching. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every night. That's one of the things that when you're asking for help, this my second principle is work as if nobody's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell my son, number one, ask for help. Number two, assume nobody's coming. Number three, work as if ain't nobody showing up for you. Right? So then when they do show up, your work is already speaking for itself.
Right.
You've already started doing certain stuff. Whenever I work with people right now, I love what I do right now because the objective, honestly, is to tell people like, especially people who've never met me,
Mm-hmm.
How can I could take you to a website. You can go look there and decide, but that's not going to tell you anything. That's I could have used ChatGPT for that. You don't know what I did. I could have hired out a company to create that for you. You don't know. But these videos that I do every single night, that's gonna show you my personality off front, off
Right.
top.
And let's do
That
let's
that go ahead. What?
let's do actually I'm not I want you to do it. Let's actually do our pitches for that. Let's go ahead and shameless plug for your live streams every night. I want you to
Oh
just do
yeah,
it.
no, it's Axe Fearless as my as my little logo thing over here. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Mm.
Says whatever, but I've been a coach for certified therapeutic coach for about 23 years. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do you one better because my aunt, we were just talking about this last night on our stuff because she was like, no, people need to know exactly who you are, what you do. So let me show you right quick. Hold on. I think you're gonna like this. Hold on. Boom. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to show that. So my name is Fearless Cummings. That is actually my legal name. That's not a joke. T Cummings or whatever. I'm a certified therapeutic coach, whatever. I graduated from the Meta Institute, which was in Golden Valley, Minnesota. My certifications include number one, obviously, therapeutic coach, practitioner of neuro linguistic programming, master practitioner of NLP, hypnotherapist, as well as cognitive behavioral therapist, which I got that certification somewhere else. So, um, and my qualifications, what I tell people is very simple: being homeless, being broke, having to build myself up like all the way. Um, that's kind of what I did. So I stopped. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to grab some. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Am I can I? Wait. Like okay. I want to show you right quick what I've done. So I teach people like uh, my brain just went blank.
That's all right.
I tell people the 5 steps or whatever. So what I did when I was homeless, I wrote out 5 things that I loved about life that I could not do without. And so those 5 things became the 5 things that I surrounded my life with, right? And then from there, I created these set of principles in which I would live by. So that's kind of what I do. I teach people those things. So the ABCs of personal improvement, which is accountability, boundaries, and a constitution that you create for yourself. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see it that well. In 2018, I wrote, I wanted to be a stay at home dad and I want to make $10,000 a month. Right? That's what I wrote. Right? Um, in 2013, I was homeless and this was the bike that I wanted. Even being homeless, I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, I would, I would love that bike. Excuse me. 7 years later, that's me on the right hand side buying that bike. I went down to St. Joe's, Missouri,
Mhm.
and I went and bought it. Right now, if you look at this stuff over here, on July 22nd, when I wrote this, number 5 says riding my motorcycle. I didn't have it at that time. I wasn't making $10,000 at that time. You know what I'm saying? So everything that I talk about in general is shit that I do. So right here is the Constitution that I wrote out. Just I took a little whiteboard. And again, when did I write this? February 4th of 2014. Okay. I was homeless right before that. But I wrote this out for myself that I would stand on for the rest of my life. The number one thing says what? Be the best father that I can be. It wasn't anything about making money. Matter of fact, money is not even in my constitution.
Mhm.
It's not even in my constitution. Matter of fact, if we go back up to my goals, my the thing that I value most in life, money isn't even there. So when people ask me what is it that I do, my job It's to get you out of your fucking head so we can get our work done. That's it. It's to help you, number one, hold yourself accountable for what you said that you were gonna do. Help you to set some fucking boundaries, not just for you, but for everybody else around you. Because most of the time, it's not us. It's the people that we keep around us that keep us from doing shit. And number three, like I said right here, and this is my personal favorite, to set a set of rules, regulations, and principles to fucking live by. To live by. Look at number three. What does that say? Never assume anything. Figure it the fuck out. Number four is ask. Always seek knowledge. I don't give a fuck what I'm going through. There's something in my constitution that tells me how to get through this. My constitution is not based on what somebody else told me to do. Our country has a constitution, so why do we not? So that's what I teach. This is what I do. Every problem, every dream, goal, aspiration, or problem exists around accountability, boundaries, and what you do or what you say that you're going to do with your life, the rules that you make in your life. That's my shameless motherfucking plug. And here's the thing. We talk about this. Hold on, where are we? Did I write my thing out? We talk about that every single night. Damn, here it is. Last night was day 25 of 100. Free coaching, training, and Q&A. Look at that. Training, coaching, and Q&A. I can charge people for this shit and I do not. I can charge for it and I don't. So again, and this is that shit that I love. And I wanted to talk about this. Your boy Tim Ferriss wrote this amazing book called The 4-Hour Work Week. The 4-Hour Work Week. Great book. I totally disagreed with it. The reason why I personally disagreed with it is very simple. When you love what you do, you don't even look at the time.
Right.
When you love what you do, you don't look at the time. When I'm sitting there reading, I don't look at I look at I set my timer because I know I got to go do something.
Right.
Okay. Because I get lost in what I'm doing. It only takes me 35 minutes to create a whole entire presentation. 35. And I give it for about an hour and a half. It takes me 35 minutes to make one. Actually faster than that. If I really know my subject, which 90% of the time I do. Now think about that. That's a lot of time. I mean, actually, it's a short time for what I deliver. Here's the thing. I work on my presentations probably 2-3 hours a day. 2-3 hours a day. And then I turn around, give it later on that night. And then as soon as my live is over, I start working on the next one for the next time. We end usually at 10 o'clock. I don't go to bed. I didn't go to bed this morning until 2 o'clock in the morning. Working on my stuff because I love it that much. 4-hour work week. Bitch, I do that that day. I do it that day. That's all I'm saying. I don't look at the time.
So, and there's a couple of things I want to touch base on. So, I'll get in my little shameless plug here too. Fearless, when they tell them when they can catch you.
Every night.
Every night.
8:30.
Okay.
8:30 Central.
All right. And what number are you on?
This is tonight will be day 26.
All right.
And here's the thing. Before we even get started, I want to show you something. Because I show my people this every time, every day. This thing right here says 15 pieces, 15 days, 15 minutes. Do you see that?
Yep, it just popped into focus.
15 pieces, 15 days, 15 minutes. Live. The reason why I do this is because I met this lady and she said this company she was with, she said she was always scared to go on live and talk
Mhm.
about her stuff. And she said, listen, they told us to do this real simple thing. I did it and I couldn't stop doing it. She said, we're supposed to show 15 pieces for 15 days for 15 minutes.
Mhm.
That's it. No more, no less. That's all you do. She said, once I got started, I couldn't quit doing it. She said, I would be on for an hour to a night. I did it every day, which she did every day. I never bought nothing from her. I just watched, right?
Mhm.
So I knew what she was talking about, but it inspired me. I was not motivated to start. I was inspired to start. I was inspired to start. So when I try to explain to people, man, I need to find motivation. You find motivation after inspiration.
Mhm.
You find motivation after discipline. You ain't nobody motivated to just go do some shit. Nobody. Ain't nobody motivated to clean their house. Ain't nobody motivated to go clean their car. You might be inspired to do it, but you're not motivated to do it. That's
Okay.
that's my thing. But again, I cannot stop going into coaching mode. I
Right.
can't stop. I got a problem.
You got a calling, and you got a calling, and you got a drive to fulfill that calling. And so, for me, my name is Brian. You could see the Unstuck Sessions, marketing nerd in a box. That's kind of the lane I occupy. Um, Basically, my program is called the Unstuck Sessions, and so it's not just another business group, it's not just another marketing course. It's a space built for people that have ADHD like me. I'm a business owner with ADHD, and there's a very specific way that I get my stuff done. And so I'm basically trying to dump my brain out and show you exactly how you can get your stuff done too, and we work together. um and so it's for entrepreneurs, it's for creatives. If you got a personal brand, if you're early stage, being an early stage business owner is a lot like having ADHD. If we're being honest with you, there's so many different ideas that can take you to whatever your imagined promised land is. You need to focus, you need to figure out which one you need to pursue to get to where you want to go. And so it's really about finding out, and it's a structured problem solving session that helps you figure out ways to get to the outcomes you want to reach. And so I built this from experience. I was a case manager, worked in residential on the residential youth care side of things. Um, I've trained staff, I've trained parents, I've trained kids on how to navigate not only the court system, but a lot of the state based child care systems and stuff. These are very complex systems. And the only way you get through them is being fully aware of what the one big problem is to address it so that you can move on and move downstream to your next big problem.
Mhm.
And that's what I call my unstuck. That's what I call my sticking points meeting. We have a sticking points meeting to kind of figure out what that one big problem is. And then we put pieces in place so we can navigate that problem and mitigate that problem so we can get around it so that you're not trapped at that sticking point. Um, I've bootstrapped a successful six-figure athletic training business, and I run a marketing agency. And that's kind of what my experience is. I focus on digital marketing, traditional marketing, community building, a lot of the hand-to-hand kind of combat stuff that makes businesses successful. And I manage all that with inattentive ADHD. So I get it. I get the overwhelm. I get the thinking. I get the perfectionism. I understand all of that stuff. And even though I still have it in my brain, I've put systems in place to navigate around it. And so that's what I want to teach you through the Unstuck sessions. So
Hell yeah.
we cut through all that stuff. We get you focused. We identify your major sticking point, and we find ways to blast through it. No fluff, no guru talk, no woo woo, none of that other stuff. It's just figuring out what the problem is and figuring out ways to address that problem. So
Okay.
clear, consistent steps. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be the person in your corner rooting you on the loudest. Matter of fact, I even reached out to somebody I've been mentoring off and on for years just to check in with her and see how she's doing last night. Like, that's how involved I am. And so we don't have to have any contact, but I will still reach out to see how you're doing, because your successes are my successes. And that's the thing that keeps me going. So if you want to get unstuck with me, there's a way to do it. My email is mail@isellwords.net. That's MAIL at isellwords.net, and we can get unstuck together. And on Fridays, I'm actually doing a recurring live stream. There's one thing with ADHD, and there's one way to stay focused as a worker. There's this thing called body doubling. And a lot of times body doubling is just working next to somebody else. And you can do it live, you can do it virtually. Every Friday at 11:30, I'm offering a virtual body doubling session where I work on the stuff that I want to get done before the weekend, pop onto the live stream, and you can knock out your big, huge leverage task too. And my only caveat is you have to bring high leverage tasks. These are tasks that are going to move you forward, things that aren't just busy work, things that are going to change the game for you or improve whatever you're trying to do. I have those at 11:30 on my YouTube and my Facebook. And so it's just us working together. And every 10 minutes, we work for 10 minutes, and then I answer questions for 10 minutes about ADHD, about business, about marketing. We had a great time last week, had a couple of people pop on, and it's just a good time, and it's an opportunity for you to get stuff done. And so from 11:30 to about 1, depending on how long, how much work we got. But I'm gonna be working, you're gonna be working, and we don't even have to interact with one another. But it's just having another person there working so you can get your stuff done. And so that's what I'm there to offer every Friday.
Okay, and you said it's from 11 to basically whenever.
11 to whenever.
One ideally, but if there's work to be done, there's work to be done.
Yeah, it's work to be done. And so I knocked out like 3 or 4 different projects I was working on during that time. And I answered some questions about SaaS. I can never say it. It's software as a solution marketing. We're marketing a piece of software. I had a gentleman reach out through one of my LinkedIn channels, and he was asking about some ideas. I think he had a product he was trying to launch. And so it's just giving him some general ideas and general ways to do some market at that specific product. So it was a good time.
Okay.
So that's what it is. Get unstuck with me. Like I said, it's a good time, and like I said, I really enjoy the idea of helping out people. It really feels better. It feels good. It makes me get up in the morning and motivates me, and it's been my motivating force since I've actually started my career way back in the early 2000s, which was working in group homes.
Okay, man. You know what, dude? So, since we're again, so last night we had this thing happen, and I wanted to talk about it because this is the Unstuck sessions, and not just Unstuck, but this is trial and error. I love our thing, and the reason why is because, like I've told you before, when I talk about trial and error in general, to me, this is one of those things that you need to have this shit. You gotta have this. Last night, my camera went out, my mic went out, everything kept going out. Did I stop? Hell no. Man, I kept going. My face was frozen. I kept asking the people, hey, can y'all hear me? Yep. But my slides kept going just fine. Everything else, they can hear me just fine. And I remember somebody saying that as long as people can hear you, as long as they can see what you got going on, keep going. I could have shut it off like, hey, y'all, sorry, man, we just have to figure it out tomorrow. Fuck that.
Nope.
Let's go. We just gonna keep, hey, you can hear me? Perfect. Can you see these slides? Perfect. We just gonna keep it going. and everybody stayed. We had a great conversation. And I even told them, I'm like, no, when shit happens, because shit's gonna happen, it's
Right.
going to keep going, keep moving. You don't stop.
Mm-mm.
Fuck, they do that at? Nah, that's not what we do.
What's the
We
nature
keep
of
moving.
things?
And
Keep
what's the
going.
next? What's keep going? So after everything was done, I disconnect everything. And here's the thing: I have a thing. I think it's my constitutional principle says try to never assume anything, figure it the fuck out, right? I just
Hmm.
show that to you. So and here's the thing. Sadly enough, my cleaners were here, my maids were here yesterday cleaning the house. So I'm thinking that one of them hit my shit or whatever. And unfortunately, they got blamed kinda because they're the only ones here. We weren't here all day.
Hmm.
So I'm like, you know what, man, before I go blaming people, why don't we start looking at your stuff? I'm
Right.
looking at my setup. Both of my screens are working just fine. I'm like, okay, uh, my keyboard's working just fine. Everything else is working except for my camera, my microphone.
Okay.
Okay. So I look and I see that because it's not even showing up in my stuff at all. Not only in a StreamYard, it's not even showing up in my Mac.
Oh
Nothing's
wow.
showing up. So I'm like, there's something really wrong here. So I went in and I saw that there was an update.
Ah. Yep.
So I'm like, okay, let me see. So I ran the update. Guess what? Everything came back on. Everything started working. I'm like, okay, that's what it was. So again, that trial and error stuff that we talked about, that's one of those things that consistently has me going. One of the things that we talked about yesterday, if you don't mind, I want to show you
Go ahead.
right quick. Um, hold on one sec. Let me show you. Hold on, let me present this. Okay. Um, hey, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep. I can see you now. I can
Okay.
hear you.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show y'all no the non-negotiables, examine your influence, personal code. So right here. So this is a bonus thing that I have, and this whole entire thing to me made everything kind of what it is. Is that align uh, with simplicity and consistency? That thank you. And I was trying to tell people that when I first started my first presentation, I was kind of all over the place. Second one was a little easier, a little better.
Hmm.
But do you know why? Do you know why? I want to go there because I want you to see it. Do you know why my presentations look like this?
Why?
You,
Oh yeah. I remember that.
you,
Yeah.
you, sir, are the reason my presentations look like this. You, sir, are the reason that my shit's so crisp, crystal clear. As soon as you see it, you know exactly what it is. You know what that star is in the corner?
What is that?
You see that little star?
Yep.
That that reminds me to give you a call out. Hey, my name is Fearless Cummings. Welcome to Ask Fearless. I've been coaching for about 23 years. On my channel, we talk about our dreams, goals, aspirations, this and the other. I'm here to give you some tools, tips, and strategies to deal with those things. Blah 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 blah. And then I keep going into what I was going into. I set those on every couple slides. I put a star there
Okay.
specifically for that, for my call out, right? But look at what I wrote there. Look at what I wrote there. Examine your influences. I wrote that shit. I have this here because of you, sir. I am a certified fucking life coach who consistently wants to get better. How many times did I ask you when I first saw your shit, Brian, can you send me what you were working on? Because I love your thing. Remember when I told you that?
Oh yeah.
Remember when I told you, I'm like, hey, bro, hey, no, seriously, I need what you're working on because I love it. Did I not tell you that?
Oh yeah. You told me straight up.
Like, I was like, no, no, bro, I need that in my life. You know what I'm saying? And then I got it. And then remember what happened? I was going over your shit. I was just adding my own stuff in there. You like, no, 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 no. You got to separate this because it's interfering in my stuff. You see what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I like your work so much that I said, no, 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 I need that. I want to do that. And I want to show you right quick what I started doing after all those, right? I started going back through them, all of my stuff, and I started not in here, but in YouTube where you taught me.
Mhm.
I I named every single episode that I have. Every single episode is in episode one.
Mhm.
Like season one, episode this, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? So every single one of them are named. Every single one of them are categorized. Whatever you say, man.
Mhm.
So, and I wanted to show you real fast. I want to try to find one that where I was just starting off. Just trying to find one right quick. So I think the other ones should be up here. Hold on. Maybe is this it? Okay, yeah. So matter of fact, here. I don't know how. So again, this is like those first few that I kind of came up with. See what I'm saying? Like you see
Yep.
what this is? I mean, so I have a bunch of stuff, right? It's just kind of and they're kind of not a lot there, just real simple stuff. But there's four, and then I'm like, no, 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 I need to have three, and they need to be small, so I can really talk about why we're doing this. And I need to keep everything we're doing short, because some people ain't got that type of brain capacity
Right.
to stay focused like I do. So now, if you look at them or whatever, like, no, we're not doing all that. We keep everything, we keep it simple. Like over here, everything's one, two, three, four. So you know exactly where I'm at.
Mhm.
Bam, bam, bam. Again, this ain't for them. This is for me. That's for me. This over here, we'll talk about that. I color code everything. So you see
Okay.
exactly where I'm at. And then look at that. Look at where, see that? Oh shit, you can't even see it. I'm sorry. I'm sitting over here talking my shit. You can't see a goddamn thing that I'm talking about. I keep everything simple. Everything simple. I try to keep everything as crisp. Look at that. I keep everything as crisp as I possibly can.
Well, and that helps so that people can focus more on your words.
On my
And
words and what I'm talking about. And then I also do this at the end. I do this at the beginning and the end. I create a cheat sheet. What is that for? That's for people that, hey, they may have something to do, but they want to know what we're talking about today. So I'll
right.
put this in the very, very front. And then now, if you stay to the end, you get the bonus one, which is this. Now, if you didn't stay to the end, you're not going to get that unless you stay to the end. Now, if you come back in later on, you'll still get it. It's all the way here. You see what I'm saying? But I keep it there. I make sure we put all that stuff there. And I did that because of watching your stuff. You see what I'm saying? So even as a certified life coach who's been coaching for years, I fuck up enough that I know that I'm not perfect by no means. And if I see something that somebody else is doing, number one, I'm gonna congratulate it. Number
Right.
two, I'm gonna emulate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'm doing.
That's what's
So
up.
when I met you as when we met the first time, you coached me, you guided me into what we needed to talk about and what we needed to do. Correct?
Correct.
am I not technically, if you really think about it, am I not the type of client that you want
That's
to
exactly what I
consistently
want.
have? I have the money, I have the time, I have the resources, and I'm fucking coachable. I'm coachable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You taught me what you need to. You didn't have to sit down and, man, did you do this? No. What happened? No. Accountability lives in me. You know what I'm saying? I am your fucking avatar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Think about that. You know what I'm
And
saying? I am your fucking avatar.
and that's the most important piece is building like, okay, so now I need to figure out how to attract more clients like Fearless, who, because here, and I'm touching on a couple of things, and it does tie back to what we were talking about before. In my experience of coaching people that are in this cycle of trying to always find a passive income kind of thing, right? Um, Having somebody that when you sit down and start coaching them and they're like, okay, tell me what to do and let's go do this thing, as opposed to, okay, so now how do I get immediate outcomes? How do I skip all the steps and jump right to the end? That's what I find when I find people that are locked into this passive income thing. And it's kind of blocking, I use the phrase, it's blocking your blessings. It's keeping you from reaching your potential because you're so invested in not having to invest anything to get the
Right.
outcomes you want. Fearless invested into the outcomes he desired. Fearless wanted to learn the podcasting game. He wanted to learn how to do the live streaming. He actually invested time and money into it to get the outcome that he desired. And
Did I ever him and haul?
no,
Did I ever him and haul? Well, what I tell you all the time, Brian, stop telling me shit. Because as soon as it came out of your mouth, what did I do?
went and did it.
Right then and there. Right then and there. I would call Brian to bless his heart and bless his family for let shop what? I would call Brian. Brian, can you walk me through this?
Yep.
And we're doing it. We're doing it. My best friend Jessica will walk over because she lives right next door. She walk over. What you doing? Sitting there at the kitchen table, working on the shit that Brian was talking to me about that Tuesday. Because at that time, we only met on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
It's Saturday, and I'm still working on shit. Now, that like my microphone, I have the same hookup that man has at his house. I've done the same stuff that Brian has at his house right here. Headphones, I got another set right there. Come on now. Anybody playing? Like, I am the avatar that Brian's looking for. So if you're like me and you want to learn how to do this shit, you want the knowledge, you want the skill set, you want to figure it out, and you want the ABCs, and then you'll go figure out how to put it together. If you're like me, then call the motherfucker. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like me, do that. Now, again, if you need somebody to hold your hand, do some of it, that's cool. Training wheels are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Holding you up is going to break your back and mine. That
Yeah.
is what, and I told him on top, when we're working with people, regardless, we're not holding them up. We're not going to do shit for you. With you is one thing. Training wheels and all, one thing. For you, fuck out of here. Because that basically shows us that you don't want it bad enough.
And
You don't want it.
people are it's you're not trying to buy a transformation, you're trying to buy a solution. And
I gotta write that down. Stop talking. Hold on. Sorry, dude.
oh, no problem.
Oh, you nasty for that. Some of the shit that comes out your mouth makes me want to snap my fingers.
Yeah.
How did you say that? You said that you're not looking for a transformation. You're looking for a solution.
You're trying to buy a solution instead of looking for a transformation.
Right, and that's that box set. Like, we'll build it for you.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is just blah blah blah. And it's like if something happens, if something goes wrong, you're not gonna know how to fix anything because you didn't build it.
Right.
Like when we look, if you look at anything that we got going on, or whatever, whether Brian built it or I built it, if even with my outros and intros, Brian didn't teach me how to do that. I even asked, I'm like, Brian, can you help me with this here? Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. And then one day I'm like, how about I just do it myself? Because if something happens, then I can fix it on my own. I don't have to keep hitting Brian up every 15 minutes every time something happens, or if I don't like this, or if I don't like that. Now I'm helping other people put their shit together. You know what I'm saying? Did you ever see Anya's did I ever show you Anya's thing?
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I know I've seen it.
Did you see it? Did you see it like recently? Okay, I'm about to show it to you right quick. All right, hold on one second. I'm gonna show it to you right now.
Vandaag ben jij de penny en ik je sugar daddy. Je weet toch nog zero betaalt de bill. Jij krijgt alles wat je wil. Schat, let maar niet op de prijs. Die bal is van mij. Zet die mooie in het ijs. Die bal is van mij. Je zegt me schat, geef eventjes je pas. Dan haal ik nog een rondje.
Now again, she and I sat down and we just built that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is it like Spielberg-esque? Fuck no.
No.
But
it
works
serves a
for
purpose.
her. It serves her purpose. It has everything that she wants in it. Done. Dunsies. And again, all I did, I went to YouTube. I watched one lady's video. It was 23 minutes. It was short. It had a bunch of, I think it had 23,000 subscribers or something. Not subscribers. 23,000 views. A bunch of stars. I was like, okay, I'll watch this. It was simple. And I built my own stuff within 15, 20 minutes. Now I can build somebody else's shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Again, you have to be willing to put the work in. One of the things that I tell people on my channel that, you know, I come with a warning. My warning is if you ain't willing to put the work in, if you're not willing to take any accountability, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Swipe left. You ain't got to be here. There's enough coaches out there that, man, they will take your money and thank you for doing so.
Right.
This ain't that. We're here to put the work in. Because when you get the work, when you put the work in, you get the rewards.
Well, and like you mentioned, you can always reverse engineer your success. Once you get successful and you put the work in and you can build it, you can always reverse engineer it and apply it in other contexts. I think when we get into the passive income thing, a lot of these things are ideas. They're like sketches of ideas that are being introduced as full ideas. And so normally that's where you find, oh, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is just set this up and it magically prints money for you. And if there was a magical money printer that existed, it would cost more than you can afford. Because if it was just available to everybody, then everybody would have the means to print money and they wouldn't really need any passive income hustles or anything.
And as soon as, like I said before, as soon as you start printing out more money, that the value of the dollar goes down.
Right.
So that's the reason why billionaires aren't going to tell you what they're doing, how they go. They'll tell you what they're doing. They'll tell you why they're doing it. But how, that is something that, again, there's only a small percentage of people that will actually do that. And if you're not willing to put the work in, and most of these people don't, they know you're not going to put the work in. They know you're not.
Well, and my venture with passive income started out with building a website. And it's like you build a website and the income will be passive. Well, I still got to build it. I got to maintain it. I got to drive traffic to it. And so I'm doing all these other activities that correspond with my passive income. It's not passive no more. It's actually active income.
You got a whole goddamn, You got a whole job.
And it was nothing wrong with it, but I'm like, this isn't as passive as I thought it was. And I got into retail arbitrage. It's buying something and then reselling it. Reselling made me a lot. It made me a pretty good amount of money, but there was nothing passive about it. I still had to source my stuff, figure out where to get it, acquire the funds to buy it, and then pack it and ship it to Amazon and wash, rinse, and repeat. I found a lot of great deals, but there was nothing passive about that income. It
Right.
required actual work. I had to actually put in sweat equity to make this thing work. So, yeah, was I making money while I was sleeping? Well, technically, yeah, but I had to put in 16, 18, 20 hours in order to get that 3 hours of income that was coming in while I was sleeping. And so, I think people end up getting sold a bill of goods when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I think here's the thing. My biggest problem with the passive income myth is it's super infectious. And so once you decide, well, I don't have to trade time for money, which you don't always have to trade that, but it takes a long time before you get to that point. You have to put in a lot of work. Once you get that in your mind that life and business actually works like that, you try to seek it out every single time, and then you end up costing yourself real opportunities to find something that is a durable thing that will allow you to put in a little bit of time to get a lot of money out of it.
Mhm.
There are things like that exist, but they require a lot of effort, they require a lot of money, or they require a lot of maintenance. And you
Gotcha.
have to pick your poison. The common ones I've seen, the common traps I've seen, and we discussed it earlier, and so I'm doing a little bit of a recap. Drop shipping stores, Forex, crypto bots and groups and stuff like that. Fearless talked about the MLMs. And these things do work, but they require effort.
Oh, a lot of effort.
Selling low quality digital products on autopilot. So I didn't touch on this, but there is stuff that's called PLR, right?
Mhm.
PLR is it's stuff that's not copyrighted, but it's printed like ebooks and stuff, where if you buy the license to it, you can just utilize it like it's your own. You can almost white label and use it like it's your own.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can make money doing PLR stuff, but you always have to spend up to buy stuff that not everybody else is using, and then you still got to edit it to make it fit what you need to do.
Gotcha.
Real estate, no money down, Airbnb arbitrage. These kind of things can work, but they still require a lot of effort. Fearless
Right.
talked about the affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing, people make a lot of money affiliate marketing. You still have to build the audience and nurture the audience to drive and get them to trust you before they click on your link to do anything.
Right.
We talked about automated YouTube channels. YouTube's cracking down on it. And so there are all these different layers where there's somebody selling you the idea that you can make a lot of money by not putting forth any effort. And I guess my biggest problem with it, I think maybe it's even just a linguistic thing. I don't like the phrase passive income because it's never passive.
Mhm.
It's going to require money. It's going to require your time and effort. It's going to require resources to make this thing pop. There's nothing, even like people say, well, stocks are truly passive income. Are they? Because in order to actually get enough money to live off of as an investor, you have to put a lot of money in to the investment. Even if we're talking stocks, we're talking annuities, we're talking whatever, you have to put in a substantial amount of money, of capital, in order to collect the interest, and it takes a while for that to accrue. So yeah, it's passive in a sense, but you still had to make the money to put into it.
Yeah.
If you're a regular trader and not even a day trader, you still have to research your position. You still have to understand what you're putting your money into, and you still have to monitor it occasionally, or you need to hire somebody to do it. So it's not passive, you're investing resources into it. And so my problem with the passive income thing is, one, it affects people's mind state, especially if they're trying to build a business or do something on their own. It affects your mind state where you're always looking for these opportunities where you can get maximum leverage for low effort, and you end up down a rabbit hole of bullshit schemes. of income, because even if you find one that works, it requires effort.
Okay.
So that's my spiel on it, and that's really what my biggest issue with the entire passive income thing is. Any one of these passive income things can actually be a fully fleshed out job. It can be a fully fleshed out business, but it requires the actual effort. And more times than not, people just hop from one to another to another to another to another, and they never invest the time to actually learn the rules of the game. And where they could have mastered one, they try to take all of them, and they just hop from one to one to one, and then they end up limiting what they're limited what their outcomes are. They put a ceiling on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So then, what do you think about So what do you think about where the tariffs are going now? Do you think it's going to get better, or and how is that affecting? Because you said before that it's affecting other people's businesses right now.
Mhm.
So in what way is that affecting their businesses, and where did it go from before and now?
Well, like with drop shipping specifically, you always had to deal with, for drop shippers, they always had to deal with some form of dealing with, some time, if there was a tariff in place or if they had to get it past customs. There's always something that can happen, right? But now it's just made everything more expensive. And more times than not, when you're dealing with any kind of product side business, well, services too, but product businesses specifically, you still have a margin that you have to maintain in order to be profitable, right?
Mhm.
And so tariffs, you have to pay. Like, here's the thing: the person importing, the person that is actually buying the thing that's being imported, has to pay the tariff. Like, you pay the tariff, and you pass that price of that tariff along to your customer so that you can maintain your profit margin, right?
Okay.
That's where it's hurting people, because now their profit margin is getting squeezed tighter and tighter. And at some point, it costs more to be in business than to just shut the thing down and move on to something else. And for drop shippers specifically, since you aren't manufacturing the stuff yourself, you're relying on a manufacturer that's in another country to manufacture this stuff and ship it to the clients. Now you're dealing with other elements that can come up with it, because since you aren't necessarily receiving this item, the drop shipper shipping it directly to the client, so now they have to deal with whatever the tariff is, and it adds extra layers to this entire thing. And for a lot of time, for a couple years, drop shipping was a pretty it was a business thing that you could roll out. It was kind of a template business. You can roll out, you start your Spotify or your Shopify store. You find a product, you source a product, you talk to the manufacturer, you figure out the terms, they send you some test items, you see if they work, you add your notes to see if they, you tell them, hey, I need this to work, I need this, make this alteration here. The manufacturer sends you another one. If it passes the gold, you put it on your website, and then people could order directly from your website. The manufacturer packs it and ships it to the customer, right? That's how drop shipping works. Well, now there's a whole nother layer of it, because now you have these tariffs in place, and you have to figure out how these tariffs are going to get paid before you can gain access to the thing that you're trying to ship. And then you need to figure out, if I'm paying an extra 5, 10, 15%, what does that do to my profit margin? Because I still have to be able to order more of these things. So it's
Okay.
not just making the money. I have to be able to pay the manufacturer to make more of these things. And at some point, there's a tipping point where it's like, okay, my profit margin's been eaten up so much through customs, through tariffs, through shipping, make sure the manufacturer gets their chunk. This thing is no longer profitable. There is no margin in this for me at all. And then you shut down business.
And then you're done.
Then you're done. And yeah, you could do it locally, but you've invested so much time and money into playing the drop shipping game that you don't have any resources to go find a manufacturer domestically. And more times than not, domestic manufacturers are going to cost more. So now you have to figure out, okay, so how do I make a margin for myself with having to pay the manufacturer more every single time? And so for people that got sold the bill of goods that drop shipping is this magical turn your brain off button, a lot of people watch their businesses evaporate overnight. And it's not the first time. Like, it's not the first time internet businesses have gotten destroyed overnight. Google, when Google changed their algorithm in the early or in the mid 2000s, I think it's like 2008, 2009, 2010, might have been 2011. Anyway, when Google changed their algorithm, a lot of internet-based businesses that just, sold ads on their website, they disappeared overnight because Google stopped recommending their website. Just disappeared overnight. Just like that, it's gone.
So your whole entire business gone.
Gone. Just no longer exists anymore. And a lot of business owners who were making tens of thousands of dollars every month, now all of a sudden they're back to square one. And all of it had to do with the fact, well, I have this passive income thing set up. And I guess maybe the lesson is, yeah, if you want to lean in and play the passive income game, feel free. Do not base your livelihood on that thing because it can go away. If it took no effort to build it, it will take no effort to erase it.
Man, that's deep.
So if you want to play it, I mean, if you want to play the passive income game, you absolutely can. You can make low content or no content YouTube channels or voiceless YouTube channels or automated YouTube channels.
That's nasty how you said that. If it didn't take you anything to make it, ain't gonna take nothing for it to go away either.
Right.
That's crazy.
You can make these things, but don't rely on them as your sole income thing. And at some point, there's a tipping point where you're spending so much time looking for a passive income thing. You spend so much time looking for your next passive income thing as you could have taken those hours and found something that wasn't as passive that could have made you the same amount of money or more. You could have invested that time in something that's non-passive income and made more money. But you just keep hopping from one to another, and expecting that free bag. And even if you magically find that free bag, other people will find that free bag of money, and it becomes a law. It becomes diminishing returns.
Right.
So that's what we're saying about passive income. And for serious business owners, or if you're serious about building your personal brand or stuff like that, it just builds bad habits in you, is what I'm saying. It builds bad habits where you're used to trading nothing and getting something. That is not a good set of habits to pick up on and put into your life. So that's my entire spiel.
Yeah, especially in the lives of your family too.
Yeah.
It's like, I got this great business that I don't even need to do anything with. I barely set it up. It just works on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, that's that. I mean, like you said, once they switch up their algorithm, that's it.
Right. And that's all it took.
So then technically your business is owned and operated by external forces that have nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you didn't get anybody's email address or any of that shit. You are literally starting over again.
Right. And the Google algorithm change wasn't even anything major. They just said, stop recommending websites that have all these keywords stuffed on them. We only want websites that actually have complete sentences, and it makes logical sense. So don't recommend any websites that are just keyword stuffed.
So do we need to do that? Do we need to do it like an SEO for all of my videos?
Probably not. And I'm gonna explain why, because I'm actually in this space right now working with a client.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
With SEO. So here's the thing with SEO. If you have millions of viewers, if your website gets hundreds of thousands of people coming or tens of thousands of people coming every month, SEO is amazing. It's an amazing tool. It could take you from great to amazing, but it's not going to take you from garbage to good. And a lot of times people...
Hey, hold on, man. You can't just slide on that shit and keep it going. What do you mean by garbage? I mean, do you mean like you're not getting any viewers whatsoever? Because I don't know if that's garbage.
No, it's not garbage. When
What do you
when I
mean?
say garbage to good, I mean like if you're not getting like if people are still just discovering you because YouTube, Google still Google learns it's a learning kind of thing. Google, YouTube, all these social media platforms, it learns you and gets used to you, right? And so you can have all the SEO on the front end. If you're just getting started, SEO is not going to elevate you to the top. Okay. Now, if you're already at the top, SEO can push you even higher, but the best SEO in the world is people looking for you and people checking out your stuff
Gotcha.
organically. And so
Like
and
looking for you
yeah,
or looking for those keywords.
they're
'Cause I
looking
think
for
there's a difference
your content
for
specifically.
you
So,
specifically.
yeah. And so right now I have a client, we're doing pretty much we post something, a piece of content daily, right? And he has a pretty good audience on other platforms, right? And so we leveraged the audience that he built on one of the platforms and started adding a written piece to it where it's written content and all it is recapping the content that he's creating, the podcast that he's creating, but it's just recapping each episode. So we put a written
Hmm.
component to it.
Okay.
That skyrocketed his SEO and skyrocketed traffic to the affiliated websites. And we didn't pay for any ads. We're not paying for SEO or anything. It was just making it so that people are looking more at his stuff. So the first step to optimize something for SEO is to get eyeballs on it. That's the first thing. But SEO will not bring you new eyeballs if you're not already having a steady flow of traffic.
Okay, I got you.
And so the way you're doing it now, Fearless, is pretty good because you're having a consistent live stream that you're on every night. People tune in, they interact and everything. And so on Facebook knows you're doing the live stream and it's going to send traffic to it because it's a high quality thing that people are seeing. They're emphasizing live video on Facebook anyway. And so now they're going to open up the gates to send you more and more traffic now that they've seen you're consistent. That's the best SEO that you're going to find. Changing a keyword here, changing a keyword here. That is like the extra chives on top of the potato. Like you don't always need them, but they just add that little to it, that umph to it. So I'm saying that to say this, and I've talked to my boy Les. Matter of fact, one of these days we might bring Les on here.
Sure.
He runs a design agency. He designs websites, he makes graphics and everything. And that is one of the biggest fights he has with clients is they think that they buy a website that they buy a website from him and they put it up online and magically it's supposed to bring clients in. And then magically, well, if I put SEO onto the website, now magically clients are going to find me. And SEO don't work like that. You still have to have people coming to your website organically looking for you. And SEO is not going to deliver that all the time.
Okay.
And think about it like this. It's a numbers game, right? How many businesses are on Google?
On Google?
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions?
Yes, incalculable number, right? In your industry, in your specific industry, you are fighting to be at the top.
You paused.
Yeah.
You paused for a second.
Okay.
I said hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
You said what?
It's an incalculable number. Like it's hard for a human brain to wrap around there. So what you're doing,
I can imagine.
What you're doing with SEO, the SEO game is this. I want to be at the top of Google search results whenever somebody's looking for a specific thing, right? I'm optimizing the search engine optimization, SEO. I'm optimizing the search engine to show my stuff at the top of the page because most people, they never go past the first page on Google, right? So I want to be in the top of those rankings on the first page. Now think about how many businesses, if you're a carpet cleaner, right? Think about how many carpet cleaners there are in the city, in your city specifically. Yeah. You're trying to use SEO to move to the top of those search results organically, where Google says you are the number one carpet cleaner that people are looking for in this city. Okay. that's an expensive game to play for SEO. Okay, especially if you're trying to do it organically. Now, if you want to put money behind it and actually run an ad, then your ad will be at the top of the page, and people will see that as an ad, but it will be up the top of the page and ready for people to click on anyway. SEO is a long man's game. SEO requires that your website has a reputation built up, that your website has been in existence for a long time, that people are going to your website and staying on your website and actually clicking the other buttons to book services and stuff. So there's a lot of elements that go into the SEO piece of it. And people get sold a bill of goods because they're like, well, nobody's seen your website, nobody goes to you, but if you pay me $10,000, I can put your website on the first page of Google. Well, if you pay me $10,000, I can put your website on the first page of Google. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 6,000 of it and put it into a Google ad, and your website's going to pop up near the top of Google.
Constantly. Because you just bought it.
Yeah, I just bought the space.
You bought that space.
Right.
Okay.
Now, are people going to organically find it? No, it's going to show us an ad on Google, but it's still going to pop up near the top of the search results. And for a lot of people, that don't matter. They're on Google searching for an answer. So they're going to find it. But a lot, it took for Coach Mo Athletics, it took a long time to optimize that website for SEO. That website's been in existence for 10 years.
Right.
It has a reputation. It's had millions of people go to that website. So it has a high reputation with Google. And so now it's optimized for that search engine. So I can play the keyword game.
Right.
And I can start ranking for keywords. But that's kind of going by the wayside. It's only a matter of time before Google says, okay, we're going to shift this from being keyword based to interest based. And we're going to show you things that we think you're interested in, because that's kind of what the AI thing is doing anyway.
Got you.
So, and it's a lot of jargon to say, save SEO for when you have a lot of traffic and a lot of eyeballs. Don't think that you can invest in it. Don't think it's a shortcut that you can buy some SEO and jump the line. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
And there's one more thing I'll throw in there, Fearless.
Please.
When I say reputation, so high reputation websites. Facebook's a high reputation website. For better or worse, Twitter/X is a high reputation website. Google's a high reputation website. YouTube's a high reputation website. These are websites that have a lot of traffic and people stay on for a long time. Okay. LinkedIn's a high reputation website. Okay. So if people are searching you on these platforms and they're searching out you and landing on your website from these platforms, that boosts your reputation. So instead of paying for SEO, invest in a way that you can put out high quality content on each one of these platforms, and your SEO is taken care of. And SEO is taken care of anyway, because Google looks at the reputation from these other high reputation websites and said, okay, so this person has this website in their bio and people are clicking on this website. So we can attribute some of the reputation from this website to this person's website, and it'll move you up in the SEO rankings. Did that make sense?
Hell yeah, it does. Yeah.
So get better at what you do. That's all it is. Get better. If you're watching this,
staying consistent, right?
Yeah. If you're watching this, staying consistent, get better at making good content, making stuff that people want to watch and people want to immerse themselves in, and your SEO on your website will be improved.
So let me ask you, so is that the same premise as your videos as well?
Yeah. The way it recommends videos is YouTube has a real, and they don't really disclose a lot of it, but people have kind of piecemealed stuff together, and they've talked to some of the engineers at YouTube and stuff about why certain videos do better than other videos, right? So like, and if you really want to know the game, watch Mr. Beast videos, because he's the one that's hacked. He's the one that's kind of hacked the system, and he's hacked it to the point where now YouTube will just recommend his stuff regardless of what you're really on there for. They'll throw a Mr. Beast video in there. Okay. But if you want to learn the game, Mr. Beast's formula is this. He states the premise of the video, He states the promise that he's making at the video, and then once they get past the intro, they start showing you the promise as quickly as possible. They start delivering on the promise as quickly as possible. So he'll say, I have a big, huge shredder, and I'm going to drop a Lamborghini in this shredder. See what happens when I drop this Lamborghini in the shredder. And then when the video actually starts and gets into the content, he starts building up to dropping the Lamborghini in the shredder. So you're actually getting to the payoff piece of it quickly.
So, okay, so say that one more time. So the first part is what?
The first part is the premise of the video, and then it's the promise. So if you deliver on that promise or show people that you're going to deliver on that promise as quickly as possible on a YouTube video, there's a good chance your stuff is going to rank up a lot faster. But but some people have other ways that they've managed to hook people, whether it's good storytelling, telling a compelling story, or if it's a really urgent problem and they're able to solve that problem on the video. If all you got to do is watch the video, it will solve your problem. That's another way. So there are multiple ways, but if you really want to figure out how people create those videos that go viral and hook people, watch Mr. Beast, because he has it down to a science. All the way down to how he utilizes thumbnails and all the other stuff. And I know people don't know who Mr. Beast is. This man's videos get more views than the Super Bowl every time he drops. Every time he drops. And for me, it's the most insipid content ever. I have 100 people standing in a circle. The last person to remain in this circle is going to get paid $10 million or something like that. And then you watch it because the people are standing in the circle, and then Mr. Beast comes and offers them, you want a Lamborghini? Here's a Lamborghini. All you got to do is step out of the circle. People step out of the circle, get their Lamborghini. And that's the kind of content that he creates.
Right.
It sucks you in, but it's entertaining, but it's not necessarily informative. It's entertainment.
Okay.
But there are other ways to do it.
I love that word you use, insipid. I had to look that up. It means it lacks flavor. It's tasteless. It's flavorless. You know me, I love words.
Right.
I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that one. That was a good one. Insipid. Okay.
Well, here's the crazy shit about Mr. Beast, though. And I know I'm off on an ADHD rampage right now, but
man.
The crazy shit about Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast has leveraged this entire thing into a whole nother array of businesses. Television productions. He has his own shows on Netflix now, and the Mr. Beast Burger, which is basically those ghost kitchen kind of things, where
not bad either. The fries suck.
Yeah,
but the burgers are fire.
And you know where those burgers come from? They come from whatever Chili's or Applebee's or whoever else. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I've ordered them enough that I can tell you that they're very good.
Yep.
The fries suck, but those burgers are fantastic.
And so Mr. Beast has such a strong platform that all he has to do is introduce a product that he's launching, and it's going to do millions and millions of dollars. That's how big in
so he's basically like a Caucasian male Kardashian.
Yeah. And it was interesting to watch him at the NBA All-Star game, because I'm sitting there watching him, and he's on the floor with all these other, multi-millionaires and stuff. And it's like, Mr. Beast, his net worth is more than most of the people on the court right now at the NBA All-Star game. He's surrounded by millionaires. He's worth $500 million from YouTube.
Doing insipid videos.
I'm going to drop this Ferrari into a big shredder. What was his first video? I'm going to sit here and count to 1 million. And he recorded himself counting to 1 million. That was one of his early videos.
So kind of like Macaulay Culkin. What's it? Macaulay Culkin?
Macaulay Culkin.
When he was sitting there eating that fucking piece of pizza.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago. He didn't say nothing. He just sat there and ate a piece of pizza. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the video. They got millions of fucking views.
But here's the thing. He said, I'm going to count to 1 million. And he did it. He delivered on the promise. So that's why people watch the video.
Who gives a fuck, though?
Okay,
Obviously, somebody does.
right. I'll sit there and watch videos of people dropping molten lava, like molten metal on things, or we take a red hot copper ball and drop it on stuff. I'll do that just passively scrolling. I'll watch people do, build cabinets or reassemble engines or all these things that I have no intention of ever doing myself.
Right.
But on some level, it's fascinating to me. The thing is, for business owners, and I wanted to give this to our audience, the thing that you think is boring about your life, the knowledge that you have in your head, is fascinating to somebody else.
Yeah, that part.
You may think it's boring. You may be an expert on PVC pipes and plumbing.
And somebody's gonna love that. I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I'd rather watch that than somebody putting a Lamborghini through a fucking shredder.
The
Just
best,
saying.
one of the best channels I've ever seen is this guy. And all he does is like small appliances. He talks about how these different how great these small appliances are. Like he had a hour-long video about how dishwashers work.
I'd watch that.
And he okay.
Oddly enough, I would watch that.
If you want one that's gonna bend your mind, there's a video that he did, and it's talking about why the color brown does not exist. He did an hour-long video on it. And me and my kids, and I even got my wife into it, we were sitting there kind of enraptured by this video because he's talking about why the color brown doesn't exist. It was fascinating. It would seem like the most boring, pedantic kind of thing in the world, but it talked about a lot of systems and things that we were not aware of, like LCD lights and how monitors
Right.
how monitors are built, and how most things have the three basic colors.
Yep.
And how everything's a mix of those three basic colors, right? It was fascinating. And for business owners, the lesson in that is the thing that you think is so boring about your life, or not even business owners. You could be a tax accountant somewhere. You could build an audience. I've seen a tax accountant literally in real time build an audience for themselves, talking about dry stuff about taxes and accounting.
But that's just not boring.
Yeah.
That is not boring at all.
But in his mind, in his experience, this is just basic knowledge that he has, that he shares.
Yeah, for sure.
It may be something that's fascinating to him personally, but it's not new information, is what I'm saying to him. And for a lot of people, you have this specialized knowledge in you, but you think it's so boring that you won't even give it a shot. You won't even get online and talk about it.
You gotta have an inspiration.
Right.
Something that's to inspire you to get you up. For me, it was this. 15 pizzas, 15 days, 15 minutes.
Yep.
Now we're at, I think Jessica and I were talking about it last night. She said, dude, if you think about it, because I said I at least have 25 hours worth of content. She said, no, you have somewhere around 50.
Right.
50, because she's like, you do an hour and a half at night. Not even mentioning the stuff that you and Brian do. So when you sit down and you think about that, and she said a couple of your videos go past a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, no, you have about 50. And I ain't even think, I'm like, man. So by the time I get to 100 episodes, I should have 150 hours, almost 200 hours out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's my objective, to get to 100. And it wasn't just, and when people ask me, why 100? I'm like, simple. Because on a TV show, when you get to 100, you get to syndication.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wanted 100 or whatever. And that's the reason why when I started, I just was just going to talk and whatever. Now everything I do is based on season 1, season 2, season 3. So I think like right now we're on season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Episode today would be 26. So the episodes will consistently keep going up. I won't start at episode 1, season 4. It'll just keep going up. So, but again, that works for me. I can't tell you how that'll work for somebody else. But listening to what you're saying today, I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense to just keep going.
And here's the thing, Fearless.
Please do.
The way you leverage this content, since you're saving it, you're downloading it to a hard drive or whatnot, and you're keeping it. You put it all on one hard drive. You hire an editor, send it to the editor, and say, make these into podcast episodes, make these into YouTube videos.
I mean, or I could just do that myself.
You could do it yourself, but you could do it yourself to a degree. But here's the thing: an editor can do, especially if they're experienced with making YouTube videos or YouTube content. They can edit it, cut the B-roll, put all the graphics and everything, so it's like super highly produced, and then that improves the quality of the content. So
okay.
that down the road, once because I taught myself a lot of higher level editing stuff. I know a lot of higher level editing stuff just because I've done it myself. And for you have such an expansive library of content that you could probably build you already have your YouTube channel. Now you start clipping these into shorter form videos or whatnot with some production behind them. Now you're amplifying, you're leveraging content you've already created.
Right.
So you basically, it's the idea of what Prince did with his vault of music. You have a vault right now. You develop vault mentality.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's why it's 100 episodes. And then I had told her that too, because I was like, once I say, even if we broke them in half or broke them in like quarters or whatever, that I do an hour and a half a day. So if you break them into threes, I mean, basically that's 300 episodes within that time. And if you break them up even further than that in clips, you probably have 500-600 clips just in that alone. So, and that's what I was telling her. Like, my whole objective right now is to build. And this is that going back to what you were talking about before, to kind of wrap everything up, is that passive income.
Right.
This is how it starts.
Right.
You put in all that work now. So then the work can actually kind of start once we're splitting them up, breaking it up, and then you can push all that shit out. All the stuff that I'm creating right now will pay years in advance or years later on down the road. Right now, they're not paying me shit. Could care less. I just want to get it out. You know what I mean? So that's my objective.
Right.
So to do 100 episodes, number one, because I said I would. Number two, because it scared me just the idea of getting on here and doing that. Very nervous for me. Very nerve-wracking. Now, man, please. Let's go.
Well, and you're a behavioralist. You understand this too, but there's a concept behind it, right? For human beings, especially when we're talking about passive income. For human beings, if you add time as an element between cause and effect, people have a difficult time associating the two things. So if you separate an action from the reaction and you put time as a variable in there and spread it out, people have a very difficult time linking the action to the reaction. And so that's why we believe it's passive income. Because we end up forgetting all the work that we actually did on the front end to create this thing. And then we start reaping the benefits and we talk about, well, that's passive income. Well, it's not passive. You put in a lot of work to do this.
You put in a lot of work to do that.
And a lot of people disassociate those two things. You have to put in the hours, put in the grind to reap the benefits down the road.
Right.
But we add time as that variable in the middle, and then all of a sudden people go blind to it. That's why when you're dealing with children, immediate consequences are the ones that shape behaviors most.
Right.
And
just
even
like with dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs, animals in general, yes.
And even when you get to teenagers, this is the biggest fight I used to have with parents. I had big fights with parents about this. I said, you can't ground him for a month.
No.
Why not? Because for most teenagers, a punishment that lasts a day or two is too long.
Yep.
Because they will
Yeah.
forget. And the thing that parents don't understand is children, even teenagers, are more adaptable than we are. So if
Mhm.
you say you are off phone and video games for a month, within 2 days, their new paradigm becomes my life without phones and video games. And
Yep.
now you've lost those two tools to motivate the kind of behaviors that you want to see.
Because anytime that you start doing that, and you say, all right, give me that phone.
Uh,
All right, cool. And then they start getting used to just not having it.
right.
But then when I need to call you or this or the other, you ain't got your phone because you keep taking it from me. And now it's to the point I don't even ask you for it no more. Go ahead and keep it.
Right.
And then you like you said, you lost that stranglehold. It's like, oh shit, he doesn't care anymore.
Mhm.
What the fuck? I did that with my kid too, and I stopped doing that.
I told parents, I said, oh, so you want to ground her from the game? That's fine. Let's keep it short. I said, you don't take the game system, take the cord and the controllers.
Hmm.
You take them, put them in your car, take them to your office, put them in your desk. The reason why, and you keep it short, the reason why is that kid has to look at that video game system sitting over there, and it's a visual reminder of what they lost.
Hmm.
And then you give them pathway to earn that stuff back.
Correct.
But in order to get access to it, they have to do what you're asking them to do. They have to change their behavior in the way that you're asking them to. But as a visual reminder, if you remove the whole system, then it's out of sight, out of mind. They
Out of
learn how to
mind.
how
Yep.
to exist in a new paradigm.
Adapt without it. Yep. Yeah. So I never did that. We can't. I never even took the cords or nothing. I left it in there. Don't touch it.
I told parents,
So you got a couple days, sir.
yeah,
That's
I told parents, get one of those apps that you could control your kid's phone from your phone, and then you just shut off all the fun things on the phone. They have their phone, it's in their pocket. They just can't do the stuff that they want to do with it.
Mhm.
And now it's more powerful than you just taking the whole phone,
Yes.
because they have the reminder of the weight of the phone in their pocket. Oh crap, I can't do it. Mom has shut down all the fun stuff that I like to do. I can't call my friends, I can't text anybody, and I can't play games on it. Those things went
Right.
away. She has control over it. In order to get what I want, I need to change my behaviors. But the caveat is it cannot be a month.
A month.
It can't be a week.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna punish him for 3 weeks. I mean, bro, unless you vehicularly hit somebody,
Mhm.
I can understand some shit like that. Cause somebody's life was in danger.
Mhm.
If it's not around that, no.
Well, what is it?
No.
What's the and you might know the word, I can't remember it. Hedonic adaptation. That's what it is. It's called
Yes.
hedonic adaptation.
Yeah, when
Where
something is consistently, yeah.
human beings will adapt to new
Anything.
environments, and they will
Anything.
return to the same level of happiness after a certain amount of time. So you put people in jail, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. You put somebody in prison, it's detrimental to their life. Eventually, they will revert to the same level, their basic normal level of happiness. Now it's in jail, so there are caveats to it, but they're going to revert back to it at some point in time. That's what
Yeah.
happens with lottery winners. They win the lottery, they win $100 million, and it's great for a
3
couple of
months.
weeks. For
3
3 months.
months. 3 months. And then your body you automatically switch back to normalcy. Everything happening for you is now normal. 3 months.
Yep, you revert back to your normal amount,
3
amount of happiness. So if you are an unhappy person to begin with, you're going to revert back to being an unhappy person once you get that money. And we forget about that stuff. And that's what that's one of the things, that's one of the lies that passive income kind of tells you is you end up removing the cause from the effect. And then you wonder why you're in the same place. Because if you have no work ethic before, and then you take a bunch of passive income hustles, you're going to be that same person with no work ethic. And when the passive income stops working, then you're not going to have any work ethic. So, all right, y'all. We're about 2 hours in. This has turned into a long show. And so we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna start the recap, and then when Fearless is able to rejoin us, then we'll finish out. Recapping. Passive income, in my mind, is kind of a myth. Okay. It basically conditions you to believe that you can not trade anything to get something out of it. And for a business owner, if you're a serious business owner, serious about your personal brand, it's a very infectious and negative thing that you're introducing into your life. But the reality is most passive income ain't really passive. It requires work. And it may not require as much work, but you're still trading resources for money. And it's not passive at that point. There's a lot of hype around it. More times than not, when you see the hype, somebody's trying to sell you something, sell you into a program or system. And more times than not, they don't make money using the system. They make money selling you the system. Okay.
So let me ask you right quick. So is there, in your mind, is there such a thing as passive income?
I think every couple of years, there's a new thing that can be actually considered passive income. But once enough people start doing it, then it ceases to become passive, if that makes sense.
So so what you're saying is that it's situational?
It's really situational.
Okay. And when we say passive income, we're meaning that you don't have to do anything.
Right.
It's automated. It runs on its own, correct?
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I think it's kind of a misnomer because it still requires resources to make the thing pop off. Even if you find one that's perfect, it's still going to require resources of time. Okay. It takes years sometimes to actually build real passive income. It takes accumulation of money to build passive income. So if you're talking stocks and stuff like that, to collect interest and where you're actually living off the interest, it requires a lot of money to make that happen.
Okay.
And I think people get sold a bill of goods on what the outcomes are. There are models where you can leverage, where you can actually use leverage, where you're putting focused time in and getting an outsized return on it. But these things require specific skills, they require specific knowledge, or they require a lot of money to start up. Okay. So these are going to be things like membership communities, software as a solution, software as a service businesses, selling apps, subscription businesses, licensing intellectual property, which is writing stuff that's your own intellectual property and then licensing it out for use. Real estate's a long-term play. These are things that people kind of mislabel as passive income, but it requires a lot of resources up front to get started or requires resources to maintain.
Gotcha.
Red flags. If it doesn't require any experience, if you don't need to know anything, if you didn't need to do anything to create the outcome, then the outcome can go away pretty fast. If there's an influencer trying to sell you into a specific program, they will bombard you with images of wealth and success. That's a red flag. If you don't know, if this person cannot explain what they do in one sentence, but they're showing you their mansion and Lamborghini and flashing a big wad of money, and Fearless and I talked about this a couple episodes ago, they're selling you into a program. They're selling you into a dream. And if it just sounds too good to be true, be aware that somebody's trying to sell you on a passive income scam. And here's the thing, their passive income scam is scamming you into the passive income scam. That's how they make their money. It's by tricking you to.
And by definition, that you can't say that it's a pyramid scheme because it's not. They actually created a service. Whether it works or not is irrelevant. When I create every night, that's a product. The service is my coaching. The product is a presentation within itself. Right?
Right.
That's proprietary to me. That's my stuff. Okay? So again, the service is teaching you how to use it.
Right.
Helping you implement it. That's the service. But I have a product that I have. And that's the one thing I never had before was the product.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do.
Right.
And by the time we're done with this whole thing, I'll have a minimum of 150 hours worth of product for you.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like every single day, bro. Like you understand me? Come on, man. 100 and well, what do? We 1.5 every day for the most part times 7. That's 10 hours times 3.5. So that's 320 hours. 320 hours per month. And we're doing this for what? Hold on. Actually, we'll just say pop times 100 days. Okay. So that's what is that? That comes out to 150 hours. No, that's not right. No, that's right. 150 hours, technically plus. So there'll be 150 hours, about 200 hours worth of shit from me. That's my product.
See?
That's my product. And that'll be the shit that I get paid for. That'll be that so-called passive income that we're creating now. Even right now with what we're doing right now. This will be passive income later on down the road.
Right.
Because we've already done the work.
We're putting in the work now.
Putting in the work at this present moment of time.
So
and I mean, this is 2 hours. You break this up into 15-minute segments. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10?
Yep.
10 different segments that you're watching. Come on, man. Come on now.
Right.
From just one thing. Because y'all ain't going to sit and watch the whole fucking thing all at one time. Who the fuck's going to do that?
They'll binge it, and they'll binge it, and that helps us out even more. So, but we're okay. And you mentioned it. We're 2 hours in. Let's wrap this thing up. Passive income is bullshit. You still got to put in the time and resources to make the thing pop off, y'all. That's the crux of everything that's been said today. Okay.
Got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Without the work, there's no credit.
There's no shortcuts to it. You gotta put the effort in. And so the Trial and Error podcast is about trying out stuff. If you want to play around with it, go ahead and try out do the trial part and then receive the error. If you want to flip a passive income strategy into a long-term business, it's going to require some real focus and knowledge.
And trial and error.
But thanks for tuning in, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Fearless and I haven't figured out what we're going to be talking about next week, but we'll get to y'all. We'll figure it out. And check us out on all our socials. Like, share, and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. We appreciate y'all's time. I'm Brian.
Fearless.
We'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Let me go ahead and roll the exit. I ran so fast I didn't even roll the exit music. I'm rolling exit.
It said roll it.
We're rolled, and I think
you didn't even hit the damn button.
I did hit it. We're frozen. We're hung up here. Stay. It's not letting me in the stream.
All right, here, let me try mine.
I'm okay. I got it now. It was hung up on something. In stream.